dudes, welcome to another video back in the Caddy. So with the Caddy build, I've run into a problem. It came to light in the video where I removed the bulkhead, and I haven't actually figured out the best way to sort it yet. So I figured I would just do a quick video just to show you what the problem is while I buy myself some time and go away and think about like the best way to to fix it. I'm presuming it's a problem on all Caddies, and it's something I've totally overlooked as well. So fucking hell, calm down. And I'm presuming it's a problem on all Caddies, and it's a problem that I totally overlooked as well. I knew something would pop up at some point that I'd overlooked, or a problem would occur. Probably not the first, probably not going to be the last. I get it sorted, but I figured I would, obviously because I'm doing the build as part of the channel, why try and hide it and pretend like everything's as smooth sailing, if you know what I mean. It's just part of doing stuff to a car. So let me go in the back and I'll talk you through the issue that I'm having. So since we last seen the back and I pulled everything out, so I've pulled now all the wood out and I've given it a good clean as well, so it's nice and clean on the floor. So problem that I'm facing is that when they've laid the plywood on the floor, and I get that this is the quickest, most efficient way to do it for something that doesn't need longevity and is basically a workhorse, but for somebody who's wanting to keep it for a long time and make it nice and homely inside, it's probably not good. I think the floor's probably got like 3 years before massive parts need cutting out if I don't resolve this properly now and do it the right way. So basically, when they've put in the ply floor, just drilled through the existing floor. So I've got that there's 9 holes. So that's all the holes that I can find in the floor, so I think there's 9 in total. In all honesty, a lot of them aren't a drama, but I've been frantically looking online to try to figure out like the best way to fix it. So 100% my thought process would be the best way to fix it would be to plug weld the holes and then put the proper treatment on to stop any rust from occurring. I mean, there's some slight bobbling on the odd one here and there, but it's not bad enough to warrant anything other than, you know, sanding it off, putting some rust prevention stuff on, and then going over the top. And I've seen tons of videos on the subject, and so far I've got my options down to, I've got weak shoulders. So far I've got my options down to, the best way would be to plug weld. The second best way would be to fiberglass underneath and fill from the top. And then I've seen people just use Tiger Seal, and I've seen people use rivets. So what I don't want to have is a nightmare in a couple of years time where this hasn't been done properly, so this is why I'm taking my time on it. Most of the holes aren't an issue. So for example, from this line here forward to the front, this is a false floor. So the models that have back seats, the back seats would probably situate around here, and then this is the footwell. So this and this one go underneath, and there's a hollow out underneath there, so they're fully sealed from the elements. So in my eyes, whilst it would look better to tidy them up a bit, they're not an issue at all. Don't really care about them. The ones at the back, so here and here and here, so those ones, when you look through like directly, you can see daylight underneath, so they're fairly easy to access from underneath as well, so they're not much of an issue. There's a line here of them that run parallel with the front of the back wheel. This one can kind of access, but with difficulty. But these two here, those two there are right below the petrol tank, which means if I choose the first option and pay someone to like plug weld it for me, they've got to remove the petrol tank. That's extra labour costs and things like that that I haven't budgeted for. So it's going to whatever way I do this is kind of going to affect the ongoing build and delay the ongoing build a little bit, so I'm going to have to change the order of how I've got things in my head of how the build's going to go. So if I plug weld it, they'll have to remove the petrol tank, plug weld it, do everything underneath it to stop any rust or anything like that coming through. If I put fiberglass over the top, then the same process is involved of removing the petrol tank and being able to gain access to it and make sure it's cleaned up and treated effectively. That then falls on my head to do, which is obviously way cheaper labour wise, because I'm not paying someone to sort all that out for us. There's a certain amount of trust that goes into letting somebody else plug weld and them putting the petrol tank back on and then them telling you that that's been done properly. So that's those two, and the other ones, which I've seen in some videos, they seem more concerned with keeping the moisture out of the van rather than stopping any rust or anything like that from happening. So they've literally just bunged through, I've forgotten the bloody name again, bunged through some rivets and not looked or touched the underside of the van. And where I live, like I said, that's not a possibility. I'm not living in like a dry area. I'm not living in Spain. I'm not living in California. This will go, and once it sort of takes hold, it'll go really quickly if it's not sorted now. So this is the reason for the video. Just figured I would make it just so everyone knows exactly where it's up to, all the 3 viewers that I get. And I'm going to do it properly, but I might do it in stages. So these, like I said, not bothered about at all. They're protected, so I'll probably, I don't know, flatten them out a bit and then just fill them and just, it doesn't have to be pretty because it's getting covered anyway with insulation. These are easy to access from behind, so I'm probably going to do these and these together, and then when I've got a day where it's nice and I've got the time, I'll pull out the petrol tank if I can figure out how to do that, and figure out or sort the bottom of these out with the fiberglass so it's nice and protected from underneath and everything's been tret, and then I'll come back in from the top when the underneath's been dried. Same with this one as well. So whilst you can see daylight through this one, there's some big box underneath and I haven't figured out what it is yet or how to get past it, so I'm gonna have to remove something to sort this one out as well. But like I said, figured it would just be best to do a video on it rather than try to hide sort of bad things that happen. It's not really a bad thing, it's just an unexpected issue, which happens like all the time. So yeah, just figured I'd do a video on it. If you've got any comments or any feedback, if you've come across this issue or anything like that, see if you can give me an option that's better than what I've suggested, because for me straight away I've forgotten the fucking name again, rivets. The rivets are out. I mean, I can plug it straight away with the rivets, but it's not solving the issues that I would worry about from underneath. Tiger seal, same problem. I can do it from the top, but it's not solving the issues from underneath. So it leaves me with the plug welding, or alternatively the fiberglass and then paint treatment for both. And I think it's probably, if I can figure out where to park the van, because I can't do it outside where I live. That's probably the option I'm going to go with. Fiberglass underneath, treat the metal work, so scrape it back, treat it, do the fiberglass, and then fill and paint from the top after flattening it out. But yeah, any suggestions would be more than welcome at this point. Like I said, I haven't budgeted this for either time nor money, and so I'm desperately trying to figure out what to do, also to keep the videos going as well. So yeah, anyway, that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're thinking about doing a van build, make sure you've got this bit covered, because I didn't, and it's I don't know, I'm thinking it's probably one of the most difficult parts, because when you come to like laying the soundproofing and the insulation, that seems fairly straightforward. When you come to laying the carpet on the sides, that seems fairly straightforward. But this bit here, you're talking about like longevity of the van, or it gets really expensive and you've got to undo work that you've done in the first place, if that makes sense. So yeah, any suggestions, more than welcome. If you've got this far, thank you for watching, and I'll see you for my next video where hopefully we're working on the solution to this. In a bit, bye.